Now, Russia's new prime minister has had a relatively low profile until now. One of the things he wants to do is restore trust among Russia's business community. Is he the man to do this?
Well, I think he has a reputation of being someone who had an experience in the private sector and someone who brought some discipline to tax collection and so forth. Of course, there are also critics of his work. But what I would emphasize in this selection of prime minister by President Putin is that the emphasis is being put on technocrat, someone who is suggested to be an effective manager. The other issue that I'm looking at, whether this effective manager will also be able to push through structural reforms that the Russian economy needs.
Like what? Could you explain?
We're really talking about long-standing issues such as defense of business rights, fighting corruption, increasing the share of private companies in the Russian economy, which have been shrinking in recent years, paring back the state-run companies and their influence, and ultimately, of course, the dismantlement of oligarchic structures. These are quite serious issues, and they would require cooperation not of the prime minister, but also the president and the judiciary and other elements of the society, of course.
Why, in your opinion, is Mikhail Mishustin so respected, even though he was a relative unknown?
He's respected in certain segments of the government because reportedly he managed to bring into order the tax collection, which has been notoriously marred by corruption. That he has, as I said, experience in private sector, so he understands how businesses are run and what are the issues that they have encountered in the past. Having said that, he is certainly someone who's not a newcomer to that government. He knows exactly how the government functions, and I do not think that he will pose a significant challenge to current structure of the economy or the way the economy is run in the country. What this signifies is an attempt to jumpstart one particular project that President Putin has favored, and these are called national projects. These are large-scale infrastructure investment projects worth around $400 billion, multi-year, arguably. And the argument has been that there hasn't been enough spending, there hasn't been efficient spending to jumpstart the economy that is otherwise quite sluggish, precisely because of the structural problems that I just mentioned.
Do you think it was wise on the part of Vladimir Putin to pick someone who was apolitical, to better respond to the needs of the people over in Russia?
Well, frankly speaking, the outgoing prime minister wasn't necessarily too political. I think when it comes to handpicking prime minister, Putin's rationale is to put someone forward who's seen as an effective manager who will take policy directions from the president rather than be a policy maker, someone who will not, if successful, not contend for a presidential office, for example, in the future. So someone who's who comes across as a technocrat, who is good at taking orders and implementing them.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program today. Lilit Gevorgyan joining us there from IHS in London.